Thanks for joining Black Gay Table Talk.
I'm Dorian.
And I'm Keenan. Join us as we take you on a journey of discussion from two Black gay male perspectives. You'll join us on various life, social, and cultural discussions that are just as versatile as you'd like them to be. Get ready for authentic, heartfelt, raunchy, thought-provoking, and relatable shows that will make you happy to have us join you as a part of your podcast family. Again, thanks for joining Black Gay Table Talk.
Let's get to talking. Thank you for joining today's episode of Black Gay Table Talk. I'm one of the hosts, Dorian.
And I'm Keenan.
And let's get to talking, Keenan. What are we talking about today?
Well, today's episode, it's a serious episode. We're going to talk about mass shootings and the gun violence that we're seeing. I know it's a lot going on right now in the world, well, in America by way of gun violence. And it is spilling over into other countries that I'm noticing in the news more. So I thought, why not bring it to the table? Because it does affect us, right? Especially with our, comings and goings and having children in school or going into the workplace, dealing with people. I mean, it's truly everywhere.
I agree with that. It's everywhere you look. Every day you turn on the news, there's some reporting of some mass shooting. What I have heard, there's no true definition of what a mass shooting is. A lot of news reporters are saying if there's more than 4 involved in a single shooting, that qualifies as a mass shooting. There's so many angles we can take this conversation today. I'm one of the ones that I'm at a point, there's so much talking, but yet there's no resolution. And just continuously speaking of it, we know it exists. We have to find a solution. We have to take control of these guns. We have to make people accountable for their actions with these guns. I'm lost. I can honestly say I don't necessarily have a resolution that I think will fit. I think people do have the right to own. They bear their arms with weapons, but in the same sentence, I want to say they don't, because you look at some countries that don't allow guns in their country, and you look at their number, right? In their number, you see 12 people, and all of them were stabbed or pushed off of building. Totally different numbers than United States.
Than the United States. It's hard. It's saddening. It's upsetting. I'm looking at the news now, and there's a shooting in Baltimore, and it's like my heart stops. It's babies. It's our elders. I mean, I'll ask the question, do you support banning assault rifles in the United States?
I don't think there's a need for assault weapons. What is the purpose of an assault weapon in an urban setting?
True. I agree. But now, like here in Illinois, there was the passing, I believe it was, for a ban on all assault weapons. And you have a lot of people upset that won't be able to continue to purchase the weapons.
Everything's not meant to be purchased. I don't think, once again, I'm going to stick to what I said momentarily ago. What is the need for assault weapons in urban society? What is it other than what they're obviously doing, killing tons of people? Now, some of the latest shootings haven't come from assault weapons. I know this isn't considered a mass shooting, but the 6-year-old who shot his teacher with the gun, that's not a mass shooting. But it goes
that was horribly sad.
How do a 6-year-old get hold to a gun? And also, this may sound, I know children are very smart. Young kids seem to pick up on stuff automatically. But it's like, has someone in his family been teaching him how to use a gun?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think if I put a gun into a 6-year-old who hasn't even seen a gun in real life, I don't know that they would know how to take off the lock.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I'm still asking the question. This 6-year-old was able to not only take the gun out of his parents' house, go to school, conceal it, because from my understanding, they looked for the gun. So he was
Mm-hmm.
able to conceal it from the school staff. And then later in that day, was able to unlock it and then shoot at his teacher.
That's crazy. It's crazy. Now, let me ask this question. Does having the ban on assault weapons, does it violate your Second Amendment?
I'm going to say no. I have no purpose of needing it. I don't see the purpose of. I'm just going to answer this without knowing all the different amendments. I don't see the need of an assault weapon. And I think the federal government should step in and stop allowing these states to have their own gun laws with these weapons. If the federal government step in and say, hey, this is just not going to happen. And I think the penalty for anyone that's caught with an assault weapon should be just as great as someone who has murdered someone, even if there were no deaths involved in the use of that weapon.
When the kids go off to school, literally, I'm praying. Like as I see them going, I'm praying. You know, when you hear the news and you think about the fact that they're not home or they're out there in the world, it's like you're praying. Like you cannot stop. There's a greater sense of, how can I put it? There's a greater sense of pressure on me, for speaking for myself as a parent, or having the nieces and nephews nearby, like, hey, are you able to actually identify trouble, right? Do you possess those skills that would help you to ultimately survive? You know, I know that there are going to be the teachings of the schools, you know, and they do actually have active shooter drills, which blows my mind. And I feel like I wasn't in school not that long ago, but we didn't have that to worry about. And it's like they have active shooter drills. My baby has active shooter drills at school. And it's like, it's needed, but at the same time, it heightens my senses on what I need to share with them leaving the house. Like, hey, here's what you look for. Here, I mean, what are your strategies for getting away, or what is this? What is that? You know, like depending on where it happens, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I really feel for parents and guardians who have school age children. It has to be a stressful situation every morning when you let your child out of the house to go to school. I also know that I never had an active shooter drill in school. That came way after me leaving the school system.
Mm,
What I say, that time could be used on teaching our kids so much more, but it's said that
mm-hmm,
we have to use
mm-hmm,
precious school time to teach children what to do in the event that someone comes into their school with a
mm-hmm,
gun. I know most people will probably argue, oh, a drill is only 5 to 15 minutes.
mm-hmm,
But that 5 to 15 minutes can mean so much more in using it in a learning capacity besides how to save yourself from a deranged person coming into the school building shooting
mm-hmm,
up the school.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Every time you turn on the news, and I consider myself an avid news watcher,
mm-hmm.
but I do get disheartened every single time that the first 5 and 6 opening stories are about some type of shooting somewhere, whether
Mm-hmm.
it be local or national.
Mm-hmm. There were more, there have been more mass shootings in the United States than days so far in 2023. You know that?
Once again, I don't know the numbers. I, I just don't keep up with it just because it is such a sad story. And we have political parties that are so for keeping guns alive and keeping them in the hands of people that they shouldn't be in, that they're spending tons and millions of dollars to make sure that these rights aren't taken away, but they would rather take away some rights of someone who needs food. They would rather cut the food program over cutting
guns. You would rather, I'm sorry, I just have to get this out. You would rather battle my rights, right? As a black gay man, make out what's deemed appropriate for me, or make out what you feel is appropriate for women to do with their bodies, or all these other things that truly impede on you being a human, right? Having that human element, but yet they won't ban assault weapons that are designed to kill.
Once again, it just blows. It just blows me.
It's horrible.
The things that our political leaders sit up and waste so much time over. Hence the reason I don't get that involved in watching the politics of it, because it's just that. Who has control of the house? Who has the most money to pretty much get? And money speaks, unfortunately. We live in a capitalism country, as we know. Mm-hmm. And money just about buys, the right amount of money can just about buy you anything in this country, which is really sad.
It is. And here, according to ABC News, right? So, and this is as of January 23rd, 2023. Now, less than 1 month into 2023, the United States has totaled 36 mass shootings. If I'm not mistaken, they also reported in 2022, we had 641. 641.
And that's for the entire country?
That's for the country.
Okay. Wow.
That's 641 estimated shootings, mass shootings.
It's a sad wow factor.
Mm-hmm.
All you can say is wow, but it's not a good wow.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, when it comes to guns, it's not just a black thing. I'm sorry. It's not just a gay thing, right? Because we had the Pulse nightclub shooting. We had the shootings at the bar in Colorado. And it's not, it's a kid thing. It's a black thing. It's a white thing. It's an Indian thing. It's an Asian thing. Like we cannot continue to be blinded by whatever that train is that's driving and pushing and keeping these gun laws as open as they are. And again, there are other countries who have long banned them, and they don't have the issues that we have.
Not nearly. Once again, I think it's our political leaders. I'm going to say it. Our political leaders are the ones that are most responsible for these tragic shootings and these deaths caused by these guns. Because as lawmakers, they have the control to ban these weapons. And I'm not just speaking of assault weapons, ban guns. Ban all guns.
So you say ban them all.
I don't think in an urban setting there is really a need for guns. It has we're at war within our own country.
Yes, it's a war within our own country that we elect the lawmakers, we the people.
And at what point do these to me, on January 6th, what was that, 2 years ago? That should have been enough. As lawmakers, why wouldn't you want to stop as much violence with guns as you can.
We have to dig deeper. There's a reason. There's a
Because,
reason why they don't
hey,
want it to
first of
stop.
all, let's call them out. The NRA, their pockets are so deep that they continuously are able to go in their pockets. And I'm going to say it. They're going to pay these politicians to make sure that no one tries to write a bill to disrupt their rights to bear arms.
Is the reason why you're banning abortions because you want the opportunity to be able to shoot people, shoot and kill them if need to? Like what? I don't understand. You want to save that life in the womb. Why? To send them out in the streets where they could be shot dead at any moment? They're at church.
I almost wanted to laugh, and I didn't want to lie. I didn't want to laugh at
I mean,
the
seriously,
question,
what the
but
fuck?
it makes so much sense. It's like, hey, let's keep all the births coming so we have more people to shoot.
It's the most draining thing. Like, and I watch the news, right? I watch the news. I want to make sure I'm engaged. I know what's going on because I have family and loved ones that are spread in other states. So I want to know what's going on so that if I do need to call and check, I can have that, knowledge to know what's going on. It's like we're stripping those things that make us human, and what's getting the power is those things that either take away our human spirit, really.
But once again, it's the politicians being paid off by the NRA so they can continue to have the rights to bear arms. And I am 100% for protecting yourself. But what I'm saying, if you take guns out of the United States, you will lose a lot of total number of deaths annually because guns, we know, if I'm correct, and once again, I don't know scientific, I'm just thinking off the top of my head as we speak here, I'm almost sure that we lose more people through gun violence than we do cancer annually. I'm curious to look that up to find out if that's the truth.
I do wonder, given the state of guns, given the state of what's going on, should I be teaching my son? Should we be teaching our nieces and nephews how to use them? Like, is that something that we need to, hey, so next summer, instead of going to the water park, here's what we're actually going to do on this weekend. You know what I'm saying?
I am all for safety of a gun. I think if I did have a grandson or a son or nephew at a certain age, I do want them to know how to properly hold a gun.
What age is too young in your opinion? Or what is the right age to get started with learning about guns?
I think that's left up to the guardian. In my world, I think at the age of 17. And here's my reason behind, you probably say, so why 17? Before you ask, here's my reason. I know that in the United States, you can join the military at 17.
Mm-hmm.
I know once you are enlisted in the military, you are now going to be taught the proper handling of a weapon. So I chose that number saying, hey, if I had a child, I'm not an advocate for you going out buying one. I'm not an advocate for you trying to walk out in the streets every day with one. Because if you walk out in the street every day with one, to me, you're almost asking, for trouble. And especially at that young age. And a lot of places don't allow you to come in with firearms, and you leave it in your car. And now that's the new thing. They're breaking in just to see who's leaving guns in the cars. They don't want anything else. They're just saying which cars have guns in them.
Mm-hmm. And then you have the guns falling into the wrong hands. And then that's driving the crime that's on it. I mean, there has to be that one somebody that can represent these states. Honestly, at this point, there is no party. There is no party when it comes to life, right? When when it comes down to the value of life, there should be that one person that each of these states can have to represent them that understands the value of life. You working hard every day, trying to take care of your family. You seeing your children be brought into the world, or you're seeing recitals, or you're seeing, your kid's favorite movie that day, or you're going to visit your parents at their favorite church, or you're going to the grocery store after church.
This is a topic that has been in debate for years, as you already know.
Of course.
And we still have not come to a conclusion on how to resolve this. People misplace guns, and I get it, and they get into the wrong hands. Mm-hmm. I'm a loss for words on how to resolve this. I really am. And to talk about it is, to me, just the analogy of a dog chasing his tail. It's going to continuously go in that circle as he tries to chase his tail, because no one is willing to really put their foot down and say enough is enough. Because once someone does have enough gump to do it, you have the political parties that's going to make sure that that person gets silenced.
Do you feel like Pandora's box has been opened?
I do, because here's what's essentially happening. You go out in your household A, Ma and Pa are legally able to register for that gun. And they do the right things in obtaining that gun. But that house gets broken in. They're on their Hawaiian vacation, and that house gets broken in. That gun is taken. Legally, they did everything they were supposed to do, and they're law-abiding citizens. But once that house was broken in and that gun was taken, what are the chances of that gun ever being recovered? Okay, we're back. Sorry for the interruption. You can edit that. So as I was saying, once the gun has been taken, what are the chances of it being recovered? Very little chance. Now this gun is in the hands of someone that it shouldn't be in. But if we get to a place that no one in the United States can legally own a gun, which it goes to what you asked earlier, is that taking away someone's right? We make the laws that are right and wrong in this country. And saying, hey, yes, it's illegal for you to own a gun, because if that gun is stolen and put in the wrong people's hands, that we know already what the outcome will be. We also know nowadays, for whatever reason there are mental health problems that we are facing in this country.
Do you feel that mental health is the driving cause behind the mass shooting?
I'm not going to say that. I don't necessarily believe that is the reasoning. I think there are a lot of different reasonings that lead to the mass shootings. And I'm not ready to say that mental health is the main source of mass shootings. Mm-hmm. I think you just have some people that are just angry about certain situations, and because they haven't learned how to resolve their issues, the only answer they can think of, let me go out and shoot somebody and get some attention. And, unfortunately, I'm also willing to say a lot of these are copycat shootings. 15 minutes of fame. When the Buffalo shooting was a good example. I think it was almost a day or two before they even spoke of the shooter's name, because they just didn't want to give him any acknowledgement. Mm-hmm. We know that there was a mass shooting. We know that lives were lost. Mm-hmm. But you're getting some news sources now that's just saying, hey, we're not going to even make it about the shooter. Yes, that he or she is in custody. Mm-hmm. We know who it is, but let's not even give them any type of acknowledgement for their stupidity.
Part of me is like, yes, get rid of them, ban them, right? We banned gold in the United States, and everybody's gold was confiscated, right? So I would think that it could be done, but will it be done? I'm not so confident in. But I feel like at least the next step should be banning the AR-15 and those high capacity, right? Look, all of that. No, in civilian hands, there's no need unless we're joining side by side our frontline servicemen or space force trying to shoot off aliens or some shit, but not for everyday. No, come on.
If we look at the numbers of shooting 50 years ago versus today, the numbers are just crazy.
Oh my gosh, the numbers were crazy. I'll say it. The numbers went crazy a few years ago.
I think I know what you're about to say. We don't even have to use that name.
I don't want to say his name, but
And
I
you
think
shouldn't, because I think
but I think he beckoned and he pulled a lot of that hatred that had been hiding. Because I'll admit, I do feel like all that hatred was hidden, and I think that people forgot that it still exists. And not only does it still exist, it's still being taught. It's still being nurtured in the shadows. And I think that what that person did was make people feel comfortable enough to come out of those shadows and demonstrate that hatred more than they had been doing. But it's definitely still been out there. It's still been out there.
He is the fertilizer that has been spread around to help grow. Right, to help grow some of the hatred out there. But if we're just talking about gun mass shootings, they existed before he got in office.
They did.
And no, did he do it? Did his term in office do anything to help the situation? I'm going to say no.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's like the goal was to make everything worse.
And I think he was very successful at that. We have to elect political people that represent our thoughts. And unfortunately, the ones that do represent our thoughts, that do get elected, they're always outvoted by the other end of the spectrum. So once again, it just goes back and forth. It's just a different administration every 4 to 8 years.
That's true. But then it leaves me at, well, there's obviously more good than evil out there. So why can't we get it done?
I believe there is more good than evil out there. But that's the $1 million question that we have all been trying to answer for years.
I pray that there's a shift happening and that God is working on the scenes in the background to position those people who will not bend and who will do the right thing as far as the guns are concerned and the weapons and accountability for the companies, the manufacturers, and I think that it should. That's my prayer. I'm hoping that everything is being worked out.
I don't want to jade your hope, but I don't think it's going to happen in your lifetime.
I have to have faith.
And you should. And by no means am I trying to take away your faith. And I really don't think it's going to happen. The powers to be will go through anything necessary to keep these guns out there. Their argument is guns don't kill people. It's the hands that the guns are in. Well, we know that. So how do we get these guns out of these people's hands other than removing the possibility of them ever getting the guns into their hands?
Agreed. It's time for action. Maybe that is the resolution. Since, okay, take it back to how you would deal with the kids. Okay, if you can't play with your toys right, if you can't play with them right, nobody's playing with anything. Let's take all the toys up. Everybody go to your room.
If it was that easy, I think we would have already done that as a country. But there's so many steps you have to take to pass these laws.
True.
And these laws always get hung up somewhere in that process.
True.
That prevents us from passing anything that would help get us a step ahead.
Mm-hmm.
But every step ahead we take, they pull us 5 steps further back with guns.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're just chasing our tails.
Listeners, thank you for joining us. As always, if you have it in you to, if you agree with us, and if you see if you see the need, if you have that fear of sending your children to school, if you have that fear of going to the movie theater or going to the bar or going to the club, find those officials that need to be elected to make that change happen and advocate for them. Pull people out. What harm is it in voting if they don't vote? Have those conversations.
They happen everywhere. All the place that we thought was once sacred.
Yes.
You didn't think going, even a doctor office. There is no place safe now. You can't go to the park.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go, you said movie theater. You can't go anywhere.
The sad thing is, we don't know where to go. Are they going to get me because I'm black? Are they going to get me because I'm gay? Are they, you know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be a change. There has to be a change.
So the change is running across the border to Canada. That's the change.
That's the change.
You sitting here waiting for a change to come in the United States. It's not going to happen. And I hate to be that bearer of bad news, but it's not going to happen within the next 30 to 50 years in our lifetime.
Wow.
I do encourage our listeners to leave a comment on what they think the solution is.
Let us know your thoughts.
A lot of people have chimed in on how they think we can resolve this. But how do we get our lawmakers to enforce these or enact these laws to make this happen? Yeah. That's the question we should be asking.
That's the question.
Mm-hmm. They're just going to sit there.
And then let's think about the fact that weapons, they're advancing, right? So as they advance, what are we seeing then? Are we seeing that they're no longer using AR-15s? They're using, the net. As weaponry advances and it falls into the wrong hands, then we have another issue.
Which it always does. It always falls into the wrong hand.
It does. There needs to be a change. And so what we need to do, and I will be honest, there's probably more that I can do than just simply signing a petition. Now, I will sign a petition. I'll sign a petition in a heartbeat. I probably signed a petition a moment ago. I will sign a petition, and I do make sure I get my butt out and vote. I do make sure to talk to my people, my close people, and I do have some people who don't vote that I know, and I've been having the conversation for years about voting. And there are some people you just simply cannot convince, right? You win some and you lose some, unfortunately. But I think that if they're in a place to where they look at their loved ones and really take in that I could lose you at any moment. I could literally lose you at any moment. And they also, after having that reckoning, they also look at the fact that you going to cast your vote is not hurting. If you really feel that strongly about the fact that your vote does not matter, or this person's gonna do what they want to do anyway, then what's the harm in you voting? Thank you for joining us for today's episode. We hope you enjoyed. Again, if you'd like to subscribe, donate, and of course, any ratings we definitely appreciate. Again, thanks for listening to Black Gay Table Talk. Soundstripe.